www.gundam.tk presents Shining Gundam. Hey everyone, and welcome to my review this time of the Shining Gundam, which is the first lead mobile suit from the anime G Gundam, or God Gundam, and well, it's loved and hated by people, and it's a complete departure from regular Gundam series. It's basically Street Fighter running around the world fighting, and that's reflected pretty well in this model. So let's take a look. This is a master grade model, and it's from their line of Fighting Action, which only includes models from G Gundam, including the God Gundam, the Spiegel Gundam, and the Master Gundam. It's an older kit, made in 2002, by Bandai, of course, and here it is, the Shining Gundam, Neo Japan's mobile fighter. Something that's sort of cool about this Shining Gundam is if you look here on the right, that 2500 is the cost in yen, so you could just call that $25 US depending where the exchange rate is. But what that means is that I think this is the cheapest master grade there is, and the reason for that is pretty simple. When you look at this, there aren't a lot of weapons, which means it has a lot less plastic, which means it's a lot cheaper. For a tour around the box, it shows the Shining Gundam in hyper mode, front and back, and here's what it looks like when it's not transformed in normal mode. Now the big selling feature for this at the time was that it has an action frame inside, which at the time was pretty revolutionary for a master grade. Now I sort of laughed because it doesn't have a lot of weapons, so it's showing off that it has a beam sword, and not much else. It also comes with a core lander, which is like a core fighter, and it comes with a big figure of Doman Cash, the pilot. No, he's more than a pilot, the fighter inside the Shining Gundam. Here's some of the fighting action in normal mode. It can do a Char Red Comet kick, and it comes with 2 beam sabers, and most importantly, it comes with the Shining Finger, which I'll talk about later. To start things off a little differently this time, I wanted to actually show you the parts of the Shining Gundam before I put it together. So really quickly, because this is the cheapest of the master grades ever made, there's not a lot of parts. So with a quick run through of what you're going to get when you take this out of the package, the A-plate comes with gray, white, clear, and you get what's really awesome, the green hands for the famous Shining Finger. Also going to get 2 pink beam sabers. The B-plate is blue, C-plate is red, the D-plate is yellow, and it's nice that there's a lot of deep channels here for lining. I was worried about that. But what's really neat about this, besides the 2 E-plates, 2 F, and the 1 G-plate, is if you look at this plate, all of these hands and the feet for the actual parts, these are all soft rubber. So, I don't know, you could make a joke about that if you want. The other things that are very interesting about this is that it comes with a ton of little tiny screws and bolts that you can put into things. And as far as stickers go, you're also going to get a bunch of stuff like this. So eyes, black trim. You're going to get some other stuff that you can put on here. These are marking seals. And then for the headpiece. And the final thing for the chest of the Shining Gundam is you're going to get a shiny green jewel. So really not a lot of parts go into this to make up the Shining Gundam. When you open the box, one thing that's pretty cool is that you used to get an insert with almost all master grades from Bandai, and it would always show the Gundam in its best mode. So here is showing the Shining Gundam in its hyper mode. Before I put it all together, I thought I'd show you a look at the internal frame for the Shining Gundam. And this is really one of the first master grades to have what you could call a complete inner frame like this. And though it doesn't really stand up to something new like the Gundam Mark II, it's still pretty cool. Let's take a look and see what kind of posability it has. Because of the actual screws that you put in here, a lot of these parts can be pretty tight, but that's something that you can tweak with a screwdriver. Also, I haven't put in all of the screws because I have to put the outer frame on later. So the arm, full 360, The shoulders can go up, and this piece will just slide out of the way. The elbows have the full 180, which is great to see. Now the wrist is sort of interesting because it's just down on this long peg here, but the wrist can move, but they're rubber, they're not actually made out of plastic. For the lower body itself, the legs can go out this far, and they can come all the way forward, although they're unencumbered by a waist skirt right now. And as far as for the knees, when they bend, you can see here that these pull and this piston type part pulls. But the legs can do a 180, and then down at the bottom, the ankle has a fair bit of flexibility forward and backwards. But again, that's just the skeleton without the actual armor put on. One other joint that I should have mentioned is down here on the ankle. This whole part, just above the actual ball joint, can bend, and because of that, you can pull off a kneeling position, no problem. If you get the balance right, it'll stay no problem. With its heavy focus on martial arts, one of the reasons that they put the action frame into here is that you can pull off all sorts of, well, whatever fighting style you want to call it, but you can do some pretty cool stuff. Of course, the granddaddy of all Gundams, the first Gundam, if you buy the Master Grade version 2.0, the box you can see in the background, it has a full internal frame, and having just built that, I have to say that the new 2.0 has a much better internal frame. But this Gundam, for being made in 2002, is still very impressive, and you can tell that it, well, outside of my poor balance, that this set the standard for a lot of the things that were going to be incorporated into later Master Grades. Now, it wouldn't be a Gundam fight unless the Shining Gundam brought out its Shining Finger. I wonder how Amuro would stand up against that. Time skip ahead to when I've finished the Gundam, and here are all the sprues that you're left with. Really not that much. But one of the ones I didn't show you is this one, and what comes with this one is a large size figure of Doman Cash that you can paint up. And to give you an idea of the size, here it is next to the leg of the Shining Gundam. Don't forget to check out reviews of all these models, and stay tuned for part 2 of the Master Grade Shining Gundam. Thanks for watching, everybody.